once again, everyone. Dr. Dax here. Welcome back to your class. We are now in week 2 of your Server Administration 2 class. I wanted to drop in and say that week 1 went very well. I see that there was a high participation rate on the discussion boards. We're really happy about that. I want to encourage everyone to continue that momentum as we go into week 2 and to get those labs in by tonight at midnight if you can. So, in week 2, we're going to be talking about Hyper-V and concepts like storage space direct. But before we can have a conversation about those things, it's important to understand what we mean by virtual machines. So virtual machines are a virtual environment in the computer system that sets up with its own CPU, its own memory, its own network interface, and storage. And the physical hardware system can be located on-premise or off-premise. Software called hypervisors help to separate the machine's resources from the hardware and provisions them so that they can be used appropriately by the virtual machine, or the VM. VMs can allow multiple operating systems and applications to work simultaneously in a computer. For example, if you're running a Mac and you want to run Linux within that Mac, you can use a VM to make that happen. But you might be wondering how virtual machines work. Well, it's kind of a simple concept. Basically, a virtual machine allows virtualization to share a system with virtual environments. It is done through a hypervisor, and the hypervisor manages the hardware and separates the hardware from the physical resources and the virtual environments. Resources are partitioned as needed from the physical environment for the VM. There are different types of hypervisors. You have the type 1 hypervisor, which is basically working on bare metal, which is another way of saying that VM resources are scheduled directly by the hardware by the supervisor. KVM is an example of a type 1 hypervisor, and KVM was merged into the Linux kernel in 2007, so if you're using Linux, you already have access to a KVM. Now, a type 2 hypervisor is different because it is hosted. VM resources are scheduled against a host operating system, and that is then executed against the hardware. The VMware Workstation and Oracle VirtualBox are examples of type 2 hypervisors. And so now with a basic understanding of what a VM is, it's good to understand why even use a virtual machine. Well, it all boils down to server consolidation. Most operating systems and application deployments only use a small amount of physical hardware available when they're deployed as bare metal. By virtualizing the servers, you can place many virtual devices onto a physical server and improve the hardware utilization. It keeps you from using up too many additional resources like external hard drives, hard disks, and it also reduces the need for power, for space, and cooling in the data center. So ultimately, a VM provides an environment that is isolated from the rest of the system. So whatever's running in the VM will not interfere or affect the main operating system or the components that it's hosted on. And so I hope that clears up what a virtual machine does and why we use it. If you have any questions, make sure you shoot me a message. I'll be happy to help you out. And I look forward to engaging with you guys this week in the discussion boards. And that's it for now. Let's make it a great week. Dr. Dax, out.